In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I programmed a game for this, the world's smallest games console, where I'll be going through the code that I wrote and also explaining the game logic. But before we start, you might be wondering, what actually is this tiny console? Well, it's called a Thumby, and I've got it side by side here with an original Game Boy that it seems to took a lot of design inspiration from. But there definitely is a noticeable difference in the fact that the Thumby is a lot smaller. I mean, if I put it on here, you can see that it is only just bigger than the D-pad. And of course, someone has ported Doom to the Thumby, so let's give that a try now. Okay, so I've got the title screen up here, and then also some demo gameplay, and this is actually playable. If I press the A button, I can flick through the menu screen and then use this tiny little D-pad to move around, and also the A button again to fire. As to other games, the Thumby does come with 6 inbuilt. There's also a library of community-created games that I can access by just going back to the Thumby code editor and clicking Arcade up here. And it gives me a nice list of these games with a bit of a preview of what the game is. And there's loads of games on this list. There's everything from a version of Zelda here. And then there is some simpler games. You can see Rock, Paper, Scissors over here. And someone has even put up a version of Five Nights at Freddy's as well. And this list keeps going on for quite a while, and all of these games have been submitted via the GitHub that you can see here. Once again, we've got that list of games, this time with the source code, and if I scroll all the way down to the bottom here, you can see there's also instructions for how to submit your own games to the arcade. But now let's talk about actually programming this Thumby. So it is compatible with 3 different languages: MicroPython, Blockly, and C++. And spec-wise, it has a Raspberry Pi Pico RP2040 processor, 2 megabytes of memory, and a 72 pixel by 40 pixel black and white OLED display. And programming the Thumby couldn't be easier. As you can see on the screen here, I've got this browser-based Thumby code editor, and it gives me the options of either MicroPython or Blockly. So if I click on MicroPython here, it has a test program and this little emulator in the corner, which is cool because you can run the programs there without having to actually load them onto the console. So if I click to use the emulator up here and click start, just make that a bit bigger, and we'll be able to see the test program on here. And what game did I choose to program on the Thumby? Well, it's a classic that I'm sure most of you have played before. Drum roll, please. I made Snake. And you might be wondering why I chose to make Snake. Well, it is a pretty easy game to code if you know the logic, and it's a great little game for testing out a new system. Also, because I do have quite fond memories of playing the Google browser version of Snake, and I have checked it, and if you do type in Snake into Google now, it's still available to play, although quite addictive. And I know if I start playing this now, I'm gonna have to stop myself soon, otherwise I will not get the rest of this video finished. So here it is. I'm pleased to share my version of Snake that you can see here that I've written in MicroPython. And before I get into that code, I'll first show you the game running on the Thumby with a brief explanation of the game logic. And to do that, I'm first going to get it uploaded, which is quite a simple process that I'll show you now. Okay, so I'm back to the Thumby code editor, and one thing to note is to actually upload the program to the device. I need to be using the Google Chrome browser, which is the one I am using. And the first thing I need to do here is to change the name of the program and also set the path. And to do that, I can click File, Set Path, and then change the name from helloworld.py to something more appropriate for my program, which is snake.py, and then also change this directory as well. So when it is uploaded to the Thumby, this game will be on the main menu. Now that I've named my game and set the path, I just need to connect the Thumby so that it can receive the file. And to do that, I can use a micro USB cable like the one I've found here. So to start with, I can just plug it in to the Thumby and then plug the other end in to the USB port of the computer. And finally, I just need to make sure the Thumby is switched on so that it can receive the upload. So now the Thumby is connected and switched on, I can just click the Connect Thumby button up here. And it should show up in this list, so I can click on it and click Connect. And now I'm ready to save my game, and to do that I can click File, Save to Thumby. And now that game is uploaded, and now all I need to do is disconnect the Thumby, turn it off, turn it back on again, and now my Snake game will be on there and ready to play. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you my version of Snake running on the Thumby. So if I turn it on, you can see the loading screen here. If I press down, you can see the inbuilt games and then Snake. So press A on that to load it. And then we have this nice little loading screen that I designed. We have two options, either to play the game or quit the game. And obviously we want to play. So press A and we have our Snake moving around the screen, and I can just press the D-pad here to change the direction and collect the food. You can see the score going up in the top as well. So I've got 2 now, and there is error checking in this, so I can't go back on myself. And also there's 2 different ways of getting game over. So either if the Snake hits part of itself or if it hits the side of the screen like this, we get a game over screen which has the score, and then also an option to continue, which sends us back around so we can either play the game again or quit. But I will say it is quite difficult to play on the Thumby with its tiny little screen and tiny little buttons. So I'll just move over to the emulator now, where I can explain the code in more detail and show you it working from there. So to make this easier to explain, I've broken the code down into sections that I'll join together as we go along. And the first section that you can see here on the emulator covers the movement and the input. So firstly, I've got the variables declared up here, and then this section here is just the main game loop, and within that game loop, the first bit of code is to draw the Snake and also update the screen, and then there's the logic here to make the Snake move and also add and remove parts of the Snake, and then finally here's the code to detect the button presses. Now, for reference, we're working with the Cartesian coordinate system with 0, 0, or the origin being in the top left corner. And for an example of how the movement works, if I click start here, you can see that the Snake starts off moving to the right, and that is because the Snake direction is initially set to 2, which makes sense when you look at the detect key presses and see that when we press the right button, it changes the key to 2, and that key corresponds to the Snake direction. And this works with the logic here, where the X coordinate of the Snake is changed by the X direction value, and the Y coordinate is changed by the Y direction value. And we get those values from these 2 lookup tables up here. So if we go back to the key of 2, go 0, 1, 2, you can see the X direction is changed by 1, so it's going right, and the Y direction is changed by 0 because it's not going up or down. And for another example, if I do want to make the Snake go up, I can just start it again and then press up. You can see that is now moving up. That's because the key here corresponds to 1. So if we go back to the lookup tables, 0, 1, you can see the X direction here is 0 because it's not going left or right, and the Y direction is -1, which makes it go up. And there is error checking that you can see on this line as well. It just uses the modulus operator to stop the Snake from going back on itself. So if you're traveling right, the Snake can't go left, and if you're traveling up, it can't go down, and vice versa. And finally, for this section, we've just got the Snake body. So you can see the Snake length here is set to 10, and each time it moves, its position is added to the Snake body array that you can see here. And when that array reaches 10 items, you can see that the first element is removed, so the Snake will always have a length of 10. And to draw the Snake on the screen, it just uses this for loop to loop through all of the elements of the Snake body array to find the coordinates to plot the pixels on the screen. So the next section is collision detection, and to do that I've just added some more code to the code that we saw before, and I'll go through that in a second. But firstly, to demonstrate, if I click start here, you can see we have the Snake again and also a border, and then if this Snake hits the edge, it stops, and that would be a game over. Likewise, if the Snake goes back on itself, which is kind of difficult to show you with such a small Snake, it would also be a game over. And to do that, I've just added some more variables and also added to the game logic as well. So firstly, I've created a 2-dimensional array for the playing area that is 70 by 32. And I've also added to the logic here, adding the collision detection logic, which both detects if the Snake hits the border and also if the Snake hits itself. And I'll just explain that in more detail now. So you can see here the playing area has every element set as a 0, and as the Snake is moving around the screen, the element where the Snake body is changed to a 1. So as it is moving, the elements of the array are continually changing. This then serves as collision detection, as it marks where the body of the Snake is, and when it hits itself, it detects a 1, and then it's game over. And the next step is I've added the code to generate the food and also check if the snake has eaten the food as well. So you can see this function up here, new food. And the first thing this does is randomize where the food's gonna go. And then there's also some error checking in here to make sure we're not putting the food over the snake body. And if you remember from before, within the playing area, the snake body was set as a 1. The food is set as a 2. And if I scroll down to where that function is called, you can see that when the snake body goes over a 2, or when the snake is eating the food, it generates new food, increases the snake length, increases the speed, and also increases the score by 1. Then there's this line up here that just displays the food, and then I've also added a section to display the score on the screen as well, and I'll demonstrate all of that now. So you can see the snake moving on the screen here, and if I just move it so that it eats this food like that, you can see the snake has increased by 5, it's sped up slightly, new food has been generated, and the score has also gone up by 1 as well. And finally, I've just created a menu system. So this is just nested while loops, and I'll demonstrate this quickly. So once again, if I click start, you can see it starts with a title page, and if I click through, this is where the game loop is going to go, and then finally a game over screen, and if I click again, it sends me back round to the title page. And if I put that menu code together with the rest of the game code and also add some graphics like the one you can see over here, I've just converted to bitmap arrays that are here, I get a completed game that I can play now. So if I click to start playing, you can see the game running, and if we get a game over, you can see the graphics on this screen as well. And if you want to see some more of that gameplay, I will leave some footage of it at the end of the video. So there we have it. I've created a game for the world's smallest console, and it really is tiny. I've put this down and lost it so many times while trying to film this video, which is a little frustrating. But talking about smallest consoles, I'd love for you to let me know in the comments what games, if any, you think would work well on a console this small. Overall, it was a really cool novelty to try out, especially after I just impulse bought it on Amazon. And if you want to get one for yourself, I will leave a link to it in the description. And after playing around with the Thumby, I've also been really impressed by the community and also the documentation surrounding this tiny console. And once again, I'll leave a link to this site as well. And I've also seen that they've recently announced a full colour GBA style version of the Thumby that you can see here that I'll probably check out once I can get my hands on one. But that's all for today. I'll see you next time.